Lucky you.
36 best
Tune
holes in
into
golf.
Alternate Shots podcast,
Barney's Army.
where we talk about golf,
Sandy.
poker,
James Bond.
horse racing,
Double.
classic movies.
Zenyatta.
We have no script,
Down the stretch they
and
come.
we are glad you joined us.
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
Hey, Billy, today we are so thrilled. We have none other than, no, he's not my body double. His name is Rob Williams, but Rob Williams III is the president of Wingfoot. Welcome to the podcast. We're thrilled to have
Welcome,
you.
Rob, and thank you for the time.
I love that you guys are doing this. I think it's just so much fun to reflect. And it's such a natural time to do it, with the centennial on right here. And I think it's just been a year. I found anyway, just a lot of kind of memories and talking with lots of people. We were talking about Hank Malfa before we came on, and I had dinner with him and the guys who play in the shootout. I was just walking through the clubhouse that night, and they said, you got to join us for dinner. And Hank told all these stories about playing with my dad, and just so great. I mean, I just have, so my dad joined in 1959, and he was 27 years old. So he moved to the area. He just knew he wanted to join Wingfoot, and he was just starting out in advertising. And I always laugh because I think he had the same conversation with my mom as I ended up having with Katie, so many years later, when she started saying, well, what this Wingfoot thing, well, what if we were to move away? And he's like, no, you understand.
We're not going anywhere.
Wingfoot is Wingfoot. We're gonna be members of Wingfoot. And but he joined in 59, and I think, and I was born in 62. So literally every day of my life. And I'm 60 now, and it hit me this year, kind of walking after the annual meeting, like, oh my God, like every day of my life I've been blessed to be associated with this golf club, and it's amazing to me. So
what you said in the beginning about this being fun, I think a lot of people have an impression of Wingfoot that it's a serious place and stick to your golf course and etiquette and everything like that, but it's really a blast.
Yeah,
it's everything is so much fun there.
I think that's what I think I understood. I certainly understand it better, when I started coming around again after college than I did as a kid. Because as a kid, it was a pretty intimidating place to be. Like when we would get the green light to go to the practice putting green, when we were on our best behavior, I remember even when I joined, my dad said, "Look, pay your bill on time, you play fast, and if a member's coming up behind you, you let them go through." And I've said this to Jack Alvin. I was like in my 40s, and if I saw Jack Alvin coming up behind me, I was like, "Hey guys, maybe we should let Mr. Alvin go through." Yeah,
we used to say when you get behind somebody slow, and they'd see you and kind of speed up, they've elected to race.
Yeah, exactly. They're engaged, fully engaged. I think that was, but I think when you grow up around the place, at least the way my experience was, we definitely felt privileged to be able to play. Like when we were allowed to go out and play on the course, we were aware that we had to get, move it and be around there, be respectful. And I think we're certainly aware of where we were playing. At least, I felt that way. I remember even talking then to our buddies, and that was certainly the impression. But yeah, I do think, coming back, Billy, to what you said, Wingfoot's a golf club first. And the way that people gather at Wingfoot is different than most places you go. And you hear that all the time. If you bring friends up to Wingfoot, even people who have been there, that moment when they're in the grill room and it's, you finish playing, let's say at 4:00, and it's now 6:00, and everybody's laughing, having a great time. We're like, oh my God, I never want to leave here.
Yeah, and exactly. Why would you want to leave?
Why would you? And that's I was there for
the right time of year at 6:00. You might be going back out for an emergency 9.
Exactly. My dad, he had so much reverence for the club. And Bobby, you caddied for my dad so much. I remember.
I caddied from the best round he ever had. He qualified for the club championship.
Yeah.
I wasn't lucky enough to be there as long as you guys, but what you described from when you first joined, it was the same thing for me, and I was in my 40s, 40 years old or something like that.
Yeah, when I started, so I played a bunch as a kid, and then I'd say high school and college I really wasn't around. Then I started playing golf again after college, and my dad had moved to 4 West,
Right
and he
here.
had this house. It was a great house. My dad was bachelor at that point. Picture the first floor had a pool table, great sound system, a very well stocked bar, and a pool next to Wingfoot. And he was not there very much, so we had a lot of fun at that house.
I wish I knew you then.
Yeah, exactly. But I would go out, at the end of the day, I would, after work, I would drive out and just go walk out on the golf course from 4 West, and grab a few clubs and just play cross country. And I would play from, he was right in that fairway, so I may play into 4 West green and then kind of work my way to 15 East.
Yeah.
Try to maybe hit something through the trees to 7 West. It was a little more wooded then, so you had to kind of hit a little low burner to get through there. I play from like 6 green to 6 West tee box to 7 West green. That's when that's when I met Neil, Billy. I met, so this is like early 80s, maybe mid 80s, and Neil will be out there at the end of the day. So I was out there at 6 o'clock, and I bump into this guy, and you talk about fun. We just played.
Yeah, well, that was the way Neil was. Before we went to Wingfoot, we'd play in the public courses, and we were doing stuff like that, hitting over guys on a different fairway, Spring Lake,
And I was
all the fun we could find in the game.
He unlocked that because so I'm coming back. I was a little more consumed with, oh my God, I got to get good enough to play here one day, maybe join. Yeah. And Neil was like, no, don't worry about that. Like, let's why don't we try to let's see if we can get up and down out of this bunker on 15 East. Like, okay. Still haven't, by the way, that right bunker. I don't think I've ever gotten up and down out of that bunker.
Well, I've told this story many times. We would play every Thanksgiving, and Neil would come up with a putt, whether it was 1 West or wherever it was, and we don't leave till we make it. So you ask my family to this day, they're like, how many days did you make us wait?
Mine, Damon is down the street from where you on the 4th hole. And I said, Damon, Billy said to me, anybody might want to buy a house on Wingfoot. It's just very few good houses on Wingfoot, Rob, right?
Yeah.
By the one you grew up in, this one, Green. But I said, Damon, let me just explain a couple things. You told me you want to move to Westchester. You like Wingfoot. This is going to be a more than a generational opportunity maybe for you. I said, not only that, there's no place at Wingfoot where you can go out from your backyard and play the West course, 4 green to 5 West, go all the way around, 3, 4, finish, or 15 East, go all the way around, finish on 14 East, right out of your backyard. I said, this is a unique spot.
Very little chance of having golf balls go into your backyard.
Right. And I said, he said, sold.
A gentleman named Bob Potofsky owned the house, and he worked with Alice. God bless him, 94 years old. I had lunch with him about a week ago. And he loved Damon. He loved the house. He built it. It was a good exchange. Made everybody happy.
So I love it when Damon moved in there. I love it. Kenny's buying the house around 15 West. I mean, that just feels right. If anybody should have that house, that should be.
What do you think of the changes over the last couple of decades that have been made to Wingfoot and the beauty and the difficulty? What's your opinion?
Yeah, I love it, and it's interesting. I think when people come there for the first time, they look at it and say, "Oh my God, the beautiful trees here." And we think back to the way it was in the 70s and 80s, and it was just like a forest, as you guys said. So I think and it's always striking to me. I look at these old photos of the clubhouse. Like I got this painting that we all have of like 9 West behind me. And you can't see the clubhouse. Yeah, it's all trees. Everything's treed around it. So I love being able now to see across the grounds. I think that seems to be the right thing. You can see the contours and the courses, the way that you really
people discounted the contours of the land as far as beauty is concerned, and it's really significant beauty in the contours.
Completely. And I think that great shot that you get now, kind of seeing the reverse of it when you're on 11 green, you look back toward the clubhouse and you just see how the land just rolls up into 18 green and up to the clubhouse. I think it was Gil Hanse that described it, saying that Tillinghast envisioned that as kind of steps up to the clubhouse. And you just see that, or like 18 West. I'm sorry, 18 East. 18 East is a significantly better golf hole now than it was when we were growing up. I mean, there's the way that green sets up, and the way you just look down the grounds coming into it. So yeah,
I think they did
balance,
a
I think
fantastic job.
yeah, I'm really, really happy with it.
Like Billy said, if you just came to Wingfoot for the first time,
Yeah.
and you saw this, you'd say, "Wow, there's 10,000 trees out there."
Right, exactly. Like, look at that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
no one would say this course would be better if there was 1,500 more trees around.
And then, you
Well,
look at like the Moe's Pro stuff, and I think there was a little bushy tree right to the left of the 9 West bunker and the
yeah,
tee
there was a
box.
tree right between the green and this tee.
Or the grove of trees that were on 1 West, right where the pull drive was. Remember that
Right.
group of pine trees? I mean, they were kind of crazy. So yeah,
That's such a great idea, leaving that big tree that looks like an A, because if Claude was here giving you the first tour of Wingfoot, he'd say hit it right at that, right center, right? Everybody would say hit
no
it at
question about it.
that. Yeah.
And I
No.
think clubs, the awareness finally dawned on most clubs that they need a professional as opposed to a committee.
Yeah.
To do this work.
Yeah.
Like Mark
dangerous
Twain said,
committee.
you can always tell that a camel was a horse designed by a committee.
Mhm.
So,
Right. There's no doubt about that. I mean,
So-
you just look at that photo with the way the tee box is set, and it's just beautiful. Yeah.
Have you had a chance to deal with any of the champions?
My Davis Love experience, I was his walking scorer in his Saturday round in the PGA, and I think he shot 66 that day. And it was a really weird because a storm came in and we had to come off of 15, and kind of wild day. But it was, I remember we finished the round. He made no bogeys, so 4 birdies, 14 pars, and we finish. We're in the pro shop, which I think was a scorer's tent. And I said, "Oh, Davis, it's a lot of fun." And Rob, great to have you out there. And I read a score back to him, which was 4, 4, 3, 4, 4.
Yeah.
It's pretty easy. Unlike our cards, it's pretty easy
Oh
to
my
get
gosh.
figured out. And then he says, "Oh, Rob, I'm so sorry we didn't really get a chance to talk out there today. I know you're a member here." And I'm like, "Hey, Davis, no problem at all. I'm just, you're trying to win your major championship here." And so I just remember he and his brother Mark was caddying for him. Just what a incredible gentleman he was, and how happy he was. Obviously, he was playing great golf, played the best golf of his life that week. And it was just wonderful to be around. I remember he gave me the golf ball like they always did, and then I think one of my boys, they were like 3 years old or 4 years old, came out and like hid into the woods around our house. So somewhere it's out there.
Well, at least you know where it is.
Yeah, which is fine. It's a golf ball. It should be hit. We have a very active, vocal membership. I mean that in a good way, by the way. I mean it's a certainly there are few of everything, but people they're really knowledgeable. Our members they've got a very high golf IQ, so they know what they're talking about. But I guess what I'm seeing and where the thing that really struck me this year, maybe it's because just coming in as president and start looking at the club in a different way, is the clubhouse struck me the most this year. And I thought, how these guys, Nibs Nobles and the group, so they come in here in the 1920 or when they conceived of doing this, and they signed the documents in 21. And think what they did. They built 36 holes and they built that clubhouse. I mean, those are guys with a long-term vision. Like, this was not a fly-by-night idea. Like, we're going to be here forever. And so what really struck me, and I really think about a lot now, is, here we are in the dawn of, finishing 100 years. So what can we do to assure that the club is healthy for the next generation and for the next 100 years? I think we're trying to balance between having the access to the club.
We had a crowd on the first tee of the East maybe 2 years ago. I swear there was 20 balls lined up there, and everybody's kind of looking at which is their ball. And one of the guys who's about to tee off steps aside, swings his arms out with the club, and the balls go in every direction. It was like somebody threw hundreds of dollars of bills on the guy. Everybody's like, "Whoa!"
Well, I
trying to get that back in order.
That triggers him for me, Billy. So I was, was head of admissions for a few years, and have an admissions round. Guys, he's a member now. But so we walk down, and he hits his first ball, and I say, "Hey, go ahead, just hit it. He hit a good shot. He had a duck hook. I said, go ahead, hit another one. I want you to relax. Have a good time. So he hits his ball, it's in the fairway. But something seemed off, it's kind of a crazy morning. And we're walking down the fairway. I said, Jim, just by what ball did you hit? He says, I just grabbed one of those balls that was next to me. And I looked back, and it was Paul Lambert's back there looking for his ball. You can see he's like, no, I had a ball down here, and he's
I know that.
yelling
I
at him.
heard that story. Yeah.
And all the other guys on the team, sure, you had a ball.
Yeah,
there.
sure you did.
Sure,
Yeah.
yeah, sure you did. Yeah, tell
Neil had come up, and he said,
this is Neil Regan.
Neil Regan, and Neil said, "Hey, Rob, Ram Morset's coming up here. We're going to go and gonna walk the course and look at some of the greens, hit some putts. Do you want to come with us?" And I said, "Yeah, man, I'd love to do that." So what time are you guys going to meet? Oh, 5:00, and of course, and we're just going to go out and so that'd be great, Neil. I said, "I'm meeting Katie for dinner though, so I'll just stay as long as I can." And my son John was there. I said, "John, why don't you come out? You'll enjoy this." And so Rand gets there, and Rand says, "Well, where should we start?" And Neil said, "Let's go to 11 East." And so we would drive out to 11 East. Actually, we drove out. We had a car, so we drove out to 11 East. And Neil, you can just picture this. He's got 20 golf balls, right, shoved in his pocket, right, and I've got my putter, but he's also got that wooden, Calamity Jane, that kind of knockoff putter or whatever he had, and a couple of other putters, and so we just were on 11 East Green. We're just hitting these putts, and there's, Gil Hansen named this ridge Regan's Ridge, and so we're playing off the ridge, and I mean, it's got to be 45 minutes, 50 minutes, and and we're all having a great time, and I look over and Neil's showing no signs at all of moving on to number 12. And we were just here at 11. And now it's 6. It's after 6. Supposed to meet Katie. I said, "Neil, I gotta go because Katie's gonna be sitting at the table." But this was a lot of fun. So John and I go in, we sit down, we have dinner, finish. It's dark as we walk outside the front of the on the 10 East side of the clubhouse. I see through the gloam this golf cart coming down with the lights on it, and there's Neil and Rand. They've been out there for 4 hours, just rolling putts and exploring stuff. And I remember saying to Katie, I said, "Man, there is nobody. First of all, certainly nobody who knows the course better, but I can't think of anybody who loves what Winged Foot more or in the way that Neil does, and to see him with this kindred spirit with Rand, it was just like the joy of being on our golf course and just appreciating everything. It's just one of my wonderful moments. And Billy, when you mentioned 11 East is your favorite, that's what popped into my head.
We at the member guest one year at the dinner, it was in the main dining room.
Yeah.
And it was getting dark. It was not completely dark yet, but Mike Durkin on 18 East had set a pin up in the front left, right on the hump there, for a chipping contest from the back right corner. So the pin was still there, and we're all having dinner, and somebody says, "Who's that out there on 18 East?" And sure enough, Neil's out there hitting putts from that corner to that pin with a guest. So I said to my guys, let's go. Rob, within 10, 12 minutes, there were about 40 of us out there trying to make this putt. Neil sitting there, no, that's too far to the right. No, you got to go way up here,
Gotta go.
So he had a way of engaging people in that much fun. Not just, it wasn't all about the pars and bogeys and birdies. There was a lot more to golf for him.
So let's capture that in the next 100 years. I think that would be pretty good.
I think Neil's favorite green is 1 West.
Yeah, that's the one that popped in my mind, 1 West. And I'd say his favorite bunker shot was the right bunker from 1 West to anything on that green. I mean,
especially over on the left side where he could take it all the way up to the back and curl it all the way back down.
Exactly. So good.
2 East, which doesn't have quite the undulation that 1 West has, but it has some shot. You and I were playing, Billy, and Rob, he's got a simple 12-foot putt on for a birdie. I had a 5 with a stroke, and he's got a birdie, and he says, "Watch this," and Billy putts it all the way up to the end of the green, as if you're going toward 8 East. said, what are you doing? He said, just wait. And it comes down and it goes in the hole, right, Billy?
Yep, yep.
No
Wow.
one would have
Backstop.
done it. He did that as if it was the same. He had just the same odds as the 12-footer breaking a little left or right straight up the hill.
Well, it's the same with 9 East. If that pin's back in the valley and you're short, guaranteed 2-putt is to go up past it and come
Oh,
back
yeah.
down. Guaranteed. As long as you don't go too far.
Yeah, you don't want to hit it over the hill.
I have two as well. Exactly. So great.
This has just been special, Rob. I know that we're going to have you back on again for our second episode, our back nine Rob Williams episode. But this Winged Foot always makes the right decision, right, Billy?
Absolutely. It's mind-boggling, but Winged Foot gets it right.
You know, it hit me this year, kind of walking after the annual meeting. Like, oh my God, like every day of my life, I've been blessed to be associated with this golf club. Winged Foot's a golf club first. And the way that people gather at Winged Foot is different than most places you go. And you hear that all the time. If you bring friends up to Winged Foot, even people have been there, you know, that moment when they're in the grill room and it's, you know, you finish playing, let's say at 4 o'clock and it's now 6 o'clock and everybody's laughing, having a great time. We're like, oh my God, I never want to leave here.
Yeah,
And
exactly. Why
I
would
think
you want to
that-
leave? Right time of year at 6 o'clock, you might be going back out for an emergency 9.
Thanks for joining us
Casper.
today.
Billy
We
Harmon,
really appreciate your
Double
feedback.
Indemnity,
And please
Arky,
subscribe to the
Two
show
Outer,
and hit the
Claude
bell
Harmon,
icon so you get notified
Movie
of
Classics,
new episodes.
Mark Gable,
Hit them
Odd
hard
Job,
and hit them off.
Best 36 Holes,